Welcome back everyone. I'm Jewel and we're in the Giants editor today on the Jules Peaceful Valley map. It's a farming simulator 19 map that I'm working on, and basically we're going to do some more of our roads. As you can see, we have some over there, some over there. We've done one over there. So we want to go ahead and start on this one. I wanted to do this one. It's pretty straight and I wanted to pick a different road, and I'll show you the others in a moment. But first we want to go ahead and do this. Appreciate all new subscribers. Hope everybody's been enjoying all these episodes and this tutorials of the map making, and hopefully we can get these roads in so we can get started on the more fun stuff, which to some of you it's probably more fun to do the roads because you probably haven't been able to do them to where they curve to the ground like you want, like it follows this terrain. So if you haven't already, check out the first video that I made. It's a tutorial and it's called something to do with the Spline Street Constructor, and you want to watch it, and also watch the first paint.net video I did. It's a tutorial about how to paint the lines on the roads. So if you'll watch those, that'll get you started more with the process, and then watch these other ones that I've done since then. I've done several, and those will help you with the little details of how to fix little errors and things like that. But the first one will show you the whole process more in depth. So check that out first if you haven't already, and if you've already saw, go ahead and watch this one. It's just another part of me doing roads. So we're going to go ahead and make us the stuff we need for the files. Just a quick update on what you got to do. You need to get a marker which will look like this, and it'll say post. So you have to go to the first video I did to see where to get that. I got that from another person that made a YouTube video, and they made a map, or we're making a map, and that's where I got it. So check out his channel, watch his video. Also you'll get a little more information as well, but mostly he's got the information so you can get the stuff, and I'll leave the link in the description for this one, which is the Spline Street Constructor, and you'll put it in that folder. So but this is where we put our roads. These are the ones I made, and then we got to make these. We got to make a roadway for and a spline for. So I'm gonna show you how to get that in here right now, because these wouldn't be in here, and that's something that you'll have to do yourself after you get your Spline Street Constructor. You won't have those, so you'll only have road 51, and that's it. You won't have these, you won't have none of these, you won't have none of the splines, and then the rest of it you'll have. So and if you want to open it, you would click on the application right there where it says that, double click. Alright, first we're going to go ahead and come in here, and we're going to make us a transform group. Click on transform group after you hit create, and you're going to click on it so you can name it. Come over here to attributes. If you don't have attributes, go ahead and click on window, come down to attributes and click it, and it'll pop a box up for you. And the best thing to do is to go ahead and open the scene graph, attributes, user attributes, terrain editing, and material editing. The rest of it, you can do it, but most of the time you need it very often, so I would do those main ones. We're going to come over here and go over the name, highlight it, type road way 4, and once we've done that, it'll just click somewhere, or it'll pop up if you wait long enough, but you can just click up in the sky and it'll put it off. Then you can click back on it, it'll change it over here in the scene graph at the bottom, if you can see it. I got a lot of stuff in here. I gotta make it smaller where to button all this up, but right now I'm not worried about it. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and get the other thing that we have to do, but first we're going to go ahead, and while we have it highlighted, we got to export it. Hit file, export selection, and type in actually before I say that, it's already where I need it to go, but if it didn't pop up to this, obviously after you download the Spline Street Constructor, you would go back to where you downloaded it, find the folder you make, open that, and open it up, and then it'll be right to the Spline Street Constructor. Then you put the cursor in the file name box, and you're going to call it roadway 4. And then you're going to go ahead and hit save. It's going to make an i3D. Make sure it was on i3D in the little drop down if it wasn't already. So once this pops in, now you have that transform group, and you got to make this blue arrow point the direction you're going to lay those road markers. So we're going to lay it this way. So we're going to be coming from here and going over there. So we're going to want this arrow to face that way. But if I was over there and coming this way, you would want it to face this way. Okay, so I'm pretty sure you can just grab this. I know you can grab this to turn this, but that's not what I'm saying. I'm pretty sure you can just turn it and make the arrow face by turning it, and don't move the whole thing, and that would be fine. But a lot of times people come over here to, I believe it's rotate Y, and put like 90, and then that turned it for me. So, and that's pretty good. It ain't gotta be perfect, long as it's pointing in the right direction. And so that's what I'm gonna do. So if you want to do that, you can do it. Most people like to do it with the numbers, but I'm pretty sure, I think I did one where I just turned it and it did fine, and it was no problem. So, but you don't want to move this with the red or blue going. You don't want to drag this over. You want it to say 0. The only thing that don't have to say 0 is this one. Pretty much. I mean, you don't need to move this. So leave that there. All you need to do is to turn it. That's it. The rotate Y, or you can drag it with that. That's it. Don't move it. Alright, come in. Now we got to export that. Oh, we already did that. Excuse me. We're going to go ahead and come up here to create now, and click create, and click on spline. It's going to pop us up a spline. We're going to come over here and name it Spline 4, and then we're going to export that. So we're going to make sure it's highlighted. Comes up File, Export Selection. Don't do it with files, just export selection. And then you need to put it here. It should pop. If you already did the roadway, it should pop right back up to here. If it didn't, just go to Downloads, go to the folder you made for your Spline Street Constructor, open it up, and then you'll be in here. So then you're going to type in Splines or Spline 4. And in this case, it's still needs to be an i3D. So see, it says i3D. That's what you want. So hit save. So you got that. Now now that you have that, you go ahead. You already have the i3D. You only need it. So we're going to delete where it says Spline 4. It's going to keep that i3D though. So just hit delete with it highlighted. We're also in this case, I guess we don't have to. On one of them we was having to make another one, but we'll keep it on this one. Now we need the marker. Come to File, come to Import, go to Downloads. Well, it's usually where you download whatever you need. So if you've gotten the marker, you need to come into the folder you made for it, which I made mine called Marker Main 1, and I made a copy of it before I unzipped it, and I put it in on the desktop in another folder called Marker Backup. So that way you have a backup of it, so if anything messes up, you got one. So we're going to click on Post. This is the markers they were just called it a post. Make sure it comes up, and then hit Open. It's going to put it down at the bottom called Plane 001, and you're going to now, since you already moved this one pointing that way, you're going to go ahead and click on the Plane 001, hit Edit, hit Cut, then click on Roadway 4, which for you, if it's your first time, you would do Roadway 1, but you need to go back and watch the first video to do that, just to be sure that I don't leave any steps out. So then you're going to hit Paste, Edit, Paste. You're going to paste it into the Roadway 4, or whichever one you're working on. And now that we have that, we're going to hit Control B while that plane is highlighted, and click where we want it, and then click again, and then roll in. So that's one click, then another click, but not too fast together. You're going to roll down with your scroll wheel, and you're going to drag this up, and you're going to imagine the road. This imagine this road actually being here and being one of those nice roads. You're going to want this dot to be right up against wherever that road would be. So since we have no road there, we got to just imagine where it's going to be. Again, we need the blue arrow facing the correct way, the way we're going to be taking it. So that's fine. So I'm imagining the road, it's going to come right across here. So we'll tip it that way, move that over, try to get that situated. So obviously if we have to, we can move the road over a little if it's too far back. But that's what you got to look to. Then we're going to lower this. And then we see how that's up a little bit. We're going to tip it just a little bit. See how make that looks more flat. Going to roll down. If you go through the map, just roll back out, back up. Alright, so lower this to about right there. And see how this is a little higher? You can tilt it just a little if you think it's too high, but that looks pretty good. And then in this case, I'm going to drag it over a little bit, get it more in line with this, the rest of it. So something like that. Alright, because we're not worried about that because that can be erased. We just want the road coming to here. Alright, so now that looks pretty good. You could lower it a little more if you want. Tip it just a little more. Make it equal. You want it to look equal to the ground. Okay, because that's how it's going to follow the ground. Once you're satisfied, go ahead and hit Control B. And it's going to make a, excuse me, not Control B, Control D. So then it's going to duplicate it, and you need to click on that. I don't know what's going on. There we go. It's because I hit Control B is why I did that. Normally you would drag it out with this right here. Just drag it out. So don't hit Control B on that one. Hit Control D to duplicate it. That was my bad, but you do hit Control B to place it there. I just accidentally said the wrong thing. Alright, so now you're going to come up. Going to lower this with this arrow. Tip it just a little bit. Like that. And you're just going to go, not flat, but you're going to tip this. You got to watch tipping that. See how it kind of went wild? Just go real easy with it. And then if you need to turn it a little, turn it. So that should be pretty fair. We'll turn it just a little bit. Alright, so then that's good. And you don't want to go too far between each one because you want it, unless it's all flat, because you want it to do the changes in the level of the road. So we'll Control D, click on this, drag it over. See how it changed? It went under that. That's where you're going to want to put the change. So right where it's starting to change, that's where you're going to lift it up and put it there, because you don't want it to go too far, and then it's not going to get that change that you may if you keep it at a lower level or whatever. So hope that makes sense. Alright, so I'm going to drag that over a little bit, come in, look at this, lower it just a little bit more. It could kind of tilt, not much. Always turn around, look at this side, because see that's a little bit too far. Tip that back up, not that far. Be real easy with that. Alright, and then this one, we're going to click on it, go on this side and look. Looks good. Control D, drag it forward, and you can see how that went down. You're going to want to come down a little bit, because see that was a different transition. So it's going to follow what you make this plane do. This is called a plane. So we're going to tip it, and the road's going to be slightly angled. So that's, it don't have to be. If you want it flat, you can make it flat, but in this case I'm just following how it is, how I had smoothed it out before. So this side's good. Roll on this side, check it, looks good enough. Alright, come up, you want to come back, check everything. If you want to look at how they're angled, it looks fine. Alright, Control D, drag it forward. See how it hit that? Now that's where we're going to lift it. Excuse me. And whoop, we don't want to roll that far. We can go a little further because we're going to angle it, but essentially that's kind of where we're going to leave it. And then we're going to slide it just a little bit. Not that far. about right there. We're going to come down, going to lift it just a little bit, tip it just a little bit. See this little, the blue one tips it left and right, red one tips it front and back, green one tips it right and around, like right to left, round this way or this way. Kind of hard to show you like that. Now see, this one could be potentially an issue since it's like that. We may have to move it. I'm gonna move it a little further. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Alright, we shouldn't have a problem there. Anything that's under it, the road after we make it, it'll be fine. We can smooth it out. Control D, drag it forward. All pretty equal. Just tip it a little bit. Bring it down. See how it's hitting. Then we'll tip it back just a little bit. Control D. Drag it forward. Now see how that started to move up quite a bit. So we're going to back it up a little bit. Turn it just a little bit. Bring it down. Tip it forward with the red one. Tip it over with the blue one. Alright, come in a little closer. Drag it down. Up, over. And just have a look. It needs to go a little lower. Even though the sides are like that, we can always adjust them if they're covering the road up. So that's pretty good. Check the back side. Everything's good. We need to tip it just a little because it's still going up the hill. Alright, so now we're going to hit Control D and drag this one over. Except this one we're going to leave pretty close because it comes to a big curve right there. It goes up and then it curves down. So we're going to leave that there, drag it down, tip this back a little. Alright. And we're going to come on down, bring it up, and you just keep messing with it till you get it where you like it. And tip this one back. Like that. And lift it up equally. We could slide it forward a little bit because it's not going to matter about some of that because we can smooth it. If it's too far, we can bring this over. We can gently tip this over and we should be about right where we want it. So that should be pretty good. We're going to hit Control D. Drag it out. And as you can see, it stayed pretty level. So that's good. You can go further when it stays level. And lift it up a little bit. Tip it over just slightly. And that's pretty good. Leave it there. Turn around and look. If this needs to be turned just a little bit, just turn it. Drag it over a little bit if you need to. Just whatever it looks like you need to do. Hit Control D. And it once again grab the blue and drag it forward. And as you can see, it's pretty flat now, so you can go a little further. Get it on an angle so you can grab this. See how flat it is? As you go, you can tell. You can go further when it's flatter. You don't have to be so close to it. So we're going to call it good there. We don't mind placing them down. So get this equal out a little bit. Turn that. Bring this down a little bit. I think that's pretty reasonable. Tip that gently. Control D. Drag it out. And as you can see, the road doesn't match all the way because I didn't make it that way. So it doesn't really matter. Just drag it over a little bit. Turn it a little if you want. However you want to do it. As long as you got a pathway. Bring it down. Tip it just a little. Bring it a little further down. Alright, that's about right. We can scoot it over a little bit. You don't have to worry about that grass. It doesn't have to look like gravel there. It doesn't have to be any gravel there. I just did that to have a guide. Control D, drag it on out, and tip it just a little bit. Close that. And tip this. Alright, roll in, lower it, tip it. Alright, roll down, back up a little. Tip this, tip that, tip up. And if you do that, just hit undo once. Be very careful using the undo button. Sometimes it can cause issues. So that looks pretty good. Control D and drag it on out. as far as you think you need to go. Obviously, it looks like we'll have to adjust the road width on this because I didn't quite flatten it, but it'll be fine. Just focus on the plane you got that you're working with. You don't want to change everything right there. You just want to get that part right. If you get it right, you can worry about the terrain afterward. Alright, so see, you're turning just a little bit. You don't want to go too hard because it'll be too big of a turn. And then you just roll in and have a look at it, see if it looks okay. Slightly up a little bit. And it should be pretty flat. If we run into any problems, it'll probably be right here and we'll have to adjust it. But Control D, keep going. Lower it. Tip this a little bit forward. Drag it over. Turn it a little bit, but not too much, remember, because we want it to be a nice little flow there. And then we're going to lower it. We're going to tip it because it's starting to tip down. You don't want to go too far with it, but you know, just enough. Slightly turn it. Maybe not quite that much. Alright. Control D. And then basically it's just making new ones. You don't want to hit Control D, and then have two there, and then move just one and have two in one spot. That'll be a problem. Be sure that you're being careful when you hit Control D. Hit Control D and let go, and just give it a second, and it'll make it. And you don't want too many, so in one spot, or it will mess you up, and then you won't know what's going on. So just make sure you be careful and mindful of that. Alright, so we're going to lower this. Come in a little bit, tip this up, get this yellow one, bring it down, red one back a little. Check the back side every now and again, see if it's not crazy high. You want it to be kind of flat with the road angle. Drag that over. Have a look at the others if you need to drag any over. Alright, Control D. Up, so hit undo one time. It'll put you back if you made a boo-boo. Drag it forward. Now see how it's doing? So now we're going to tip it here. Then we're going to bring it up. Going to tip it gently back here. Bring it up a little more. And slightly over and slightly turned. And that should be pretty good. Control D. As you can see, it's starting to go in a downward, so we're going to tip it up a little, lift it up a little, and we're not going to go far from that one because obviously there was a change in the level, so we're just going to try not to go too far when it does that so we can get it kind of close. And we got to tip it a little bit more, drag it over to center it a little more, tip it back a little more. Well, not that far, and then lower it. So that should be pretty good. Let's check the back side. Now see, it's up a little bit on the back, so you're going to want to level it more so that the angle is the correct angle, because the road will be all weirded out on you. So Control D and move it. Come on the side where you can see, bring it down, and it's not too bad where it's at. Drag it over a little bit. And I think that's good. Control D. That's just my dog if you heard any noise. And drag that on forward. See, it's a lot flatter so you can go further. Alright, so we're going to stop there. And then we're going to tip it. See, it's a little bit of an angle. Drag it over. Come back down a little bit. Check the back side. Decent. This one seems to be either up a little bit too high or the angle, but we'll have to check it and see if it's a problem. Alright, that one's not too bad. Alright, so we're going to click back on this one, hit Control D, and of course it's starting to go up, so we're going to put it about right there and lift it. Come a little closer, tip it up because we want that angle. Drag it over, turn it to match the curve, and then back it off a little bit. Maybe drag it just a little bit more forward. Now this one we're just gently going to barely tip it up just a little, so when it comes up it'll come more smoothly. To click back on this one, bring it down, bring it around just a little more, tip this up just a little, lift this up, and you should be good. So that should be pretty good. Maybe tip it a little more over here. Sometimes the front and the back don't match, so worry about the front, at least in my case most of the time. So we're going to drag this over, bring it down, tip that up just a little, and trying to decide, do we want to go on all the way? I guess we will. Shouldn't be a problem. Now this is the first time I've met up with a streak, but at least I can show you the premise. See that dot right there? You want it to line right up with the road. So you want to get your view to be in the best spot possible, because it's hard, because it kind of changes every time you, wherever you are. It's not going to be 100%, I don't think, but we'll try to get it right on the money. And see how if you move it just a little, you're not really, see it showing it in a different spot every time. So but anyway, you get the point. And you need to turn it, just turn this to get it more straight. That's gonna be the part that's more difficult, to make sure you're pretty straight. So roll in a little more if you need to, trying to get to look at it. Try to look at the line, the red line there, and that's pretty much telling you it's pretty close. I mean, it might not be perfect. We'll just have to adjust it. If it's not, we're going to lift it up just like the others. We're going to tip it, and then I'm going to come where I can see. Going to tip it this way because you want it level, and we're going to bring it down just a little. Come down where we can see it a little better. Come on down. Well, not that far. Tip that just a little. Alright, so that should be decent. If it's not, we can always move it and lower it or whatever. Now normally these would already be gone, so don't worry about them. They're not going to interfere with anything. But normally those I would already have deleted them, but I was trying to decide that if this is the road I want. This is painted this in paint.net, so if you haven't checked out that video, check it out. And there's other ones I painted, so I showed you how to do some different ones, and there's a lot more you can do. I'm going to do a lot more stuff with paint.net to show you, but you know, I might have to put one here if we have any kind of problems, but it's decent enough. I mean, and just look at the back side, see how it looks. Tip it just a little more, maybe make it a little more level. Alright, so once you're done with all that, you're satisfied that you laid everything out decently, go ahead and click on roadway 4 again to highlight the whole group. See, it highlights all of them. Then you're going to come up here and hit File, Export Selection, and you're going to go to Downloads, go to the main Spline Street Constructor that you made, open it up, and number 4 you made Spline number 4. Well, if that's the one you're on, but if you were on the first one, you would click on Splines, or I should have named it Splines 1, but you can in yours just name it Splines 1, or if not, just remember that that's the first one. But click on that if that's what you're doing. But if you're already went through over the other videos and saw what to do, just go on and click on 4 if that's what you're on, then click Save. And yes, you want to overwrite or replace it, so because you're just putting the coordinates, these coordinates for these posts is becoming into this i3D spline, so hit yes. Okay, alright, now you're going to go to My Documents. Well, actually, you're going to go to File Explorer and you're going to go to downloads. Then you're going to open up your Spline Street Constructor, open it up, go down to application, and then double click. It's going to open this up. Now, if you want the road, just the road without the green edges, if you watch the first video, you'll see that it has green grass edges on both sides of the road. If you want that, then you would come in here. First, you're going to hit load parameter, and this is written in German, so don't panic. Just follow my instructions. Hit Strasse for street, it's in German. Hit open. Then it's going to open this, and that's that grass area, and it gives you the things that they already have in here. And if you open this, you'll see what it looks like. Well, they're not going to show it, but the verge one is the grass one. So if you was to click on it or open it up in paint.net, you would see it's just grass sides for the roads. But I don't want that, so I'm gonna say uncheck it, and I just want the main flat road, and that's the middle one. So this is the middle one, is the road. This side is the left grass side. This side is the right grass side. So basically, imagine a road being here with grass on both sides of it. And if you wanted to use the grass, you would leave it checked like that. You would check this box over here and then hit copy, and it would put this one over here, and you would have grass on both sides of the road. But you don't need it because you already have grass there, and to me it was a pain trying to get the ground to come up around it because of that grass on the side. So once I deleted that and re-brought my road in, it was flat and just the road. It worked much better to put the ground up around it. So my suggestion is don't have the grass. But you can. There are some instances you probably want it, but in my case, I don't want it. Now, then if you have a bridge, you're going to want to figure out what size your bridge is needing to be. I think I had done a 9, if I can't remember. So all my roads are a little bit different on size, but I can change them very easily, and I might have already changed them. But the ones over the bridges, I think I had at 9, and this word here is basically the width of the road. This is in German. I guess I'm going to put it at 9. I can't remember what it was at. It could have been 8, could have been 10, but I'm going to put it at 9. If that's wrong, it's very easy to come right back in here and fix that. So don't worry if you don't like it and you're like, oh no, I already did it. Don't worry, you can fix it. Calm down. Alright, so next up is this one. This is the road diffuse. We're going to click on this little file folder, and normally you would only have road 51, but if you watch my other videos and you saw how to do the paint.net stuff and make your own lines for your roads, then you have all these extra ones. And some of them I'm not, that one I'm going to have to pull out because I really don't need it. This is a double yellow line. This is a regular, let me see which one I want. Yellow center is the one I think I want. Yeah, so I'm going to click on this one. Open. It puts the rest of that information. We're going to come on up here and click on I3D. We want to pick roadway 4. Click on that. Hit save. It puts the path and everything. I'm going to highlight that and write road. Oh, made a typo. Roadway 4. Name that right there. You can name it street 4, whatever you name it, as long as you try to keep it in order, it's fine. But it would need to be named that probably in here the way that you did it there. It just helps keep everything organized. Alright, so now we're going to come down to this right here where it says Spline. Going to click on this little file folder, and we're going to pick Spline 4. And it's going to put those coordinates, I'm going to hit open. It's going to put those X, Y, and Z coordinates that was here for these little markers here. Now I'm going to try to show you what that is. Let me minimize that and show you. When you click on these little, each marker by themselves, they all have a different number, X, Y, and Z translate and X, Y, and Z rotate. So once you put it in the full main transform group and you selected them all, then each one of them is going to be put into these things. So this one is number 1. The very first one we laid is these coordinates for the X, Y, and Z. This is the translate, this is the rotate. And then you can press this arrow key and press it up and it goes to 2. So that it takes you to the next second one we put down. It has these coordinates and so on. And it goes all the way up until 21 because that's how many it tells us we have. We laid down 21. In other cases you might lay down a different number, 30 or 40 or 50 or whatever. And it tells you each set of coordinates as you go through it. So they all are there. So once you're done with that, you can look at this right here. That just shows you that it's a flat road. But if you had put the these in like that and you look at it, it's going to have, that's what the curve is going to look like. So you got the flat road here, then you got the grass would be here curved just like that. So if you wanted the other one, obviously you didn't mean to do that. Close that. If you wanted it over here, you click this checkbox, hit copy, it puts the information over here. Then you click on this and you see it's the whole thing. The road in the middle, curve on the right's the grass, curve on the left's the grass. But we don't want that. And then you have some information in here you could change, but I'm not fooling with any of that right now. But we don't want that, so we're gonna just take the check away, take it away, and as you can see now we have a flat road. So you don't need that. You don't even have to look at that. If you do all that other stuff right, you don't even got to look at the road. It's going to be right. Alright, then the last little thing I'm going to just remind you of, if you don't watch the first video like you should, click on this. It normally says 5, 5, 5, whatever. Might be all 5s. Whoever was the person I watched on the video said to put it at 1, so that's what I did. You can technically change it though if you know about what to do. But right now I'm just leaving it at 1 and it works. So I'm going to leave it at where it's at. So I had changed it from 5, so that's the first thing you're going to do when you come in here the first time. Is change it to 1, hit OK, and then you don't have to change it every time after that. Unless you re-download it or something. So hit cancel. So we're all done. We've got everything ready to go. We've already got the spline in there. And now we hit go. Once we hit go, it should do this. Once it does this, it's either going to work or not work. It's either going to say this stuff, or it's going to say error, tell you what the error is, and all kind of stuff. So I made another video. One of my other videos has it where it has errors so that you can see what to do when it does show an error. So I did make a video with some errors on purpose so that you could see it. So, but in this case, it didn't throw one necessarily. So I'm going to minimize it. Don't X out right now. Minimize it because you might have to come back to it. So once you do that, you're going to come over here, hit File, Import. You would think you would hit Spline 4, but you don't. You hit Roadway 4 because it put it in the roadway. So hit Roadway 4, Open, and then see it's down here at the bottom. Leave it highlighted. Go click Edit, Cut, then click at the top of this where it says Roadway 4 above all these planes. Then you're going to click Edit, Paste. It's going to put the road in, but it's not quite where you want it. Sorry about the dogs barking. They might bark again. Alright, so the road's there. Make sure it's still highlighted. Come up here to the Translate Y. I believe it, yeah. And then you're going to hit point. You could hit 5.5 or 4.7 is what I usually been hitting. And you only have a little bit of cleanup work. Alright, sorry about the dogs again. As you can see, you have your road. In this case, I have the dotted yellow lines on account of this road's a little bit more conducive for you to be able to pass somebody. It's technically not 100% all the way. I could have broke it up into sections to make it be what it's supposed to be in the real world. Like you have these dotted lines when you can pass somebody on both sides, like somebody going this way can pass or whatever, but really when you got to this hill you couldn't because you couldn't see. So technically this little section right there is wrong. It should be a double line for a minute and then go back. So I could have stopped right here with this marker and made this road here, and then started a new one and made another section just for wherever there needed to be double lines for the double line piece. And I could have made the double lines there, because I have that, and then I could have made another strip for the passing again if I wanted to do it that way, but I really don't care. I mean, if they're gonna get in a wreck because they're passing, hey, they're gonna do it anyway. It's a game. So as you can see, if you were driving up, you wouldn't want to pass right there, even though it's saying you can. Then right here you would, because you could see. So, and then vice versa, you would be able to pass going the other way. And basically, then now all you have to do, since if you look at it, you can see it's pretty much where it needs to be. If you come down, you can see the road's pretty close. See how close it is? And what you're going to do is, you can see that's pretty close. We'll have to move the road over a little bit, but that's fine. Alright, what you're going to do is come in here and you're going to clean it up, hit the sculpt mode. Make sure you look over here to your terrain editing. Don't put these up very high. Bring them down actually a little bit to the lower level so it don't take away as much. Then make sure you have subtract on the top one. That's what I do anyway, and I keep it on the round one. And then on the bottom right mouse button I put smooth. Middle mouse button I'm not too worried about because I don't use it. Left mouse button I've got it on subtract in case we need that. Then you're going to hover over it and hit the right mouse button, and if it works with it, just leave it like that. You don't want to use the subtract unless you have to. So it's right here, this one's not wanting to disappear, so come off of the side a little bit. Sometimes it'll work, but this time it didn't, so you're going to hit the left mouse button to subtract it, barely. You don't usually want to do that unless you have no choice. So we're going to click on that a minute so we can roll down and look. So we're going to clean up this road wherever there's stuff that shouldn't be there. And then if you look at it and you see you need to lift anything up, you can do that as well. But you would have to hit add. So this one needs to subtract because it's not wanting to. So that's where you got to watch it. You don't want to go too far, or the road will look funny. So watch what you're doing with that. And this is probably not going to work with the smooth either. No, not really. So we're going to have to subtract it with the subtract. Just get it till it goes off the edge. Just tap, 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 tap. Try to use the smooth if you can. If it's not working, go a little further back. Sometimes that smooths out some of that, and then it'll help. As you can see a little bit, but then you're just going to hold it on it and just keep tapping it till you get it off of there. But sometimes that's a problem because it makes it go too low, and you have to fix that. So there's a little speck right there. We're going to click back on sculpt mode, rub it up. We're going to undo that because it went a little bit low. Just hit it once or twice, just whatever it needs to get off of there. You don't want it going any lower, because if you do go too low, your road's going to be floating off the ground a little bit, and that's what you don't want. So try not to go too low with that. And you can smooth this out, and you can add extra curbs or whatever you got to do. You know, you get the picture. And once we do that, I'm going to do that real quick so I can show you the next step. Try to get it all situated without going too quick, and then I'll show you the next step because it ain't quite finished yet. Got a couple more steps you got to do. Now I'm going to be skipping one of the steps because I'm not committing to these lines yet, till in case I decide to do something extra or different. But this is the gist, and if I'm leaving these markers there, then I can change it. If you erase them, you can't change it. Now you have to erase them when you're finalizing it. So if I'm happy with this, I'm going to go ahead and finalize it. But I might not be yet, so I might need to make it wider. I might want it whatever I decide that I need to do with it. So that's the only reason I'm leaving it right now. Now if you're fine with it and you're like, yep, that's the way I want my road, it's all set and it's all done, then you can go ahead and delete those splines, these markers, and move forward. So as you can see, there's a little speck right there I'm trying to get, and then you can do a little smoothing on each side if you need to. And I'm gonna roll on in and see what we got here. Alright, and we're gonna come over here and do this one. That was the smooth button, and as you can see, it went a little quicker. On some of them works a little better. If it just depends on where you're at. If it's too high up, it needs to be subtracted. So I'm subtracting that one, and I'm bringing it forward, and we're almost through. We're going to go ahead and smooth, 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 and you can smooth it off the edge till you get it. Just don't go too far. There you go. Pretty good. Alright. Think we got it. And let's check our end down here. I don't know, I may have put it in the wrong spot. I may have to adjust it. Yep. Alright, as you can see, it's higher a little bit. So what you could do several things to fix it. But you want to look and try to see if it's the line is lined up with the other one. It looks pretty close. It looks like we need to move this one barely over, just a little bit, just that little bit, and then we need to lower it, because this one, if you look at it, it doesn't quite hit the ground. Now you could lower the whole transform group by clicking that and then lowering it from there. Not the transform group, but the road down at the bottom. You could do this, like say hit 4 5, but it didn't quite go low enough. And then if you don't like that, then you could go 4 3 or 4 4 0 or whatever till you got what you wanted. In this case, I want it where it was probably. Let me see where this word was. 4 7. See, so the other side looks okay though. Nope, it needs to go down too. So I'm going to lower this piece, is what I'm going to lower to try to fix it. So we're going to lower this, and I'm going to call that probably good. It might not be good, but we're going to call it good, and we'll see. Now what you're going to do, since we changed a couple of things, is just look at it and see what you got, see what you think. Alright, so I'm thinking we should be okay. Maybe it'll bring it on over. Obviously we can get rid of that little speck right there. There we go. Alright, so now what we'll have to do then is a couple things. One, click the road again, delete it. I know you're panicking, don't worry, just delete it. Make sure it's on the right road though, and just the road. Delete. Now you're going to click on Roadway 4 again to highlight all the markers, and then you're going to go back to File, Export Selection. You're going to find the Roadway 4 that you had made. Actually no, you're going to find the Spline 4 that you had made. Click that. Save it. Yes, overwrite. You're going to come back to this that you didn't X out of, the Spline Street Constructor. You're going to come down here to the Spline, and you're going to pick the Spline 4. You're going to open it, and it's going to put the right coordinates because we just changed that one. So now all we got to do is hit go. Boom. You don't got to change anything else. If everything else was right, leave it alone. It should have been right. And you're going to minimize it again. Don't close it. You're going to come over here and hit import. You're going to pick Roadway 4. You're going to hit open. You're going to edit, since it's highlighted, cut, click Roadway 4, make sure it's highlighted, edit, paste. It's going to put it in this thing. Then while it's highlighted, come to Translate Y, hit 0.47. It brings that back to where it needs to be, but since it had lowered this piece, that's why that grass is coming there. But now I got to roll in and look and see if I'm meeting the road the way I want or not. Now you can tell it's not quite there yet. See, it's just really close, but it ain't quite there. So we're gonna have to move it. Click on this. I'm gonna move it just a little more, and then I gotta move it down some more. Not much, but a little bit. So we're gonna come here and go down, and I'm gonna try to go right to there. And I think that should be good. Let me check this side, see if it's down enough. Alright, so this side was, let me see, really close. So that's, let me see. We're gonna have to adjust it a little bit. So click on it and gently tilt it, gently, toward that way, just to back off of that just a little bit. And let me roll in so I can see it. Alright, see it slightly still isn't quite where it needs to be. So this is probably the most finagling on that particular piece you're going to be working with. So you're going to get that off of there with the smooth button, and get this piece off, and you're good to go there. Alright, so it should be pretty good. We could gently tip that. Nope, undo it. We're gently going to tip it forward just a little, just like that. And let's hope, and actually we're going to tip this away just a hair because it's slightly crooked. There we go, not that far. Because this side's lower just a little bit from that side. And then we're going to see if we can get it right this time, hopefully. If not, it's part of it. It's just part of trial and error. We're going to click on the road, make sure the road at the bottom is highlighted, and click delete. Then we're going to come up here to the roadway 4 again, and it highlights all them again. Come back to file, hit export selection, come back and find it, and hit the spline 4, save, overwrite yes, or replace yes. Click back on this to open it up, click the spline thing, find spline 4, click open, click go, minimize, file, import, roadway 4, open, make sure it's highlighted at the bottom, hit edit, cut, roadway 4, edit, paste, back up a little where you can see, come translate Y, dot 47, road comes up, but this side's down a little because that's the only marker we messed with. And then come into where you can see and see what you think, and see when you get satisfied. It's pretty close, it's not far off. This is going to probably be the most difficult part of the roads, probably, I would dare say. This one's overlapping a little bit. Let me see. So let's see what this side looks like. Now this side is still not quite. This one's still on top. That side's on the bottom of it. See the tilt. So what I'm going to do is tilt it some more. Ooh, that was a big tilt. Let me undo that. I don't want to go that far. Just a little tilt. Just a little. Come on. I think that would probably be enough of a tilt. So I'm going to go ahead and call that a good tilt. We're going to click back on the road. Make sure it's the road. Hit delete. And come to roadway 4 to get all of them highlighted. File, export selection, which this is good because it shows you how to keep going until you get it. So this is what you would do. No matter what you had to move, whatever it told you to move, if it told you a number of, if it said spline 41 is a problem and 42 or 43 and 44, you count them out from where you started, and you'll find out which two are the problem. Okay, then you just keep fixing it till you get it. Then you're going to come in here to the spline 4, save, replace, yes. Come back to this, open it, click on here, let's put spline 4, open it because you're putting the new coordinates to that one we changed. Go, minimize, file, import, roadway 4, open. If it's highlighted, hit edit, cut, click on roadway 4, edit, paste. It's going to put it in there, come up to translate Y, dot 47, and we'll worry about the grass in a minute. We're just trying to get the end of the road to look decent, and I don't know that I'm going to get it perfect on this video, but you get the point. You just keep going until you see that it's where you want it. You can change the that one's pretty close. You can change this, go say 8, and it comes up, so that's pretty close. I mean, I could call it pretty good at that point. I mean, it's not gonna be the it's gonna be pretty good. So we're gonna come on out. We're gonna call that good for now. And you're gonna come here, click on terrain, smooth this out, smooth that out. Alright, and if anything else needed smoothing, you would smooth it. Then you would take and come in here and you would click on this plane. You would hold down control and then click all of them, and there's another way you can make them all highlight, but I forgot. I wrote it down, but I don't have it with me right now. But you would click all these all the way down to the bottom, not the roadway though, don't click it. Then you would click delete while you highlighted these. So you're clicking on the first one, hold control as you click on the others while you click them all till you get to the bottom one, and then let go of control and hit delete. So we're not going to do that right now because I want to keep them in there, because if you're not finished and you're not ready for this road and you still needed adjustments, do not delete these. This is only to be deleted when you're satisfied with that road and you're saying, yep, that's where I want my road, I'm done, and then you're going to delete them. Then you're still not through. You're going to come to, once these are deleted, now I'm not going to fully do it, but once these are deleted, come to roadway 4 and select it, and then you'll only have that roadway 4 and this roadway 4, which is the actual road. Then you're going to come up here to file, export selection with files. That's the only time you're going to be hitting with files. The other times you hit export selection, this time you're hitting export selection with files. Then you're going to take the path and it needs to go, I'm going to go on and click it and then I can cancel it. You're going to go to wherever your map is that you're working on. Documents, mine is My Games, FS19, Mods, Jules Peaceful Valley, Maps, and then I have mine called Objects is where I would probably put it. So I would open up Objects folder, and this is where I would put it. So then you would name it roadway 4 if that's the road that you're doing and you're working on, and hit save, and it'll put it in here as a roadway 4, and then you'll have your i3D in here. And once you do that and it's in here, which I'm not, you would hit save. I'm gonna hit cancel because I'm not ready to do that. But once it's in here, pretend I'm let me go ahead and go this way. Hit file. Once you've already put it in there, hit file, import, then go back that same path till you get back to the roadway 4 you just put in there in your map, and click bring it into here. So you would click import, you take the path, let's just do it. You would go documents, My Games, FS19, Mods, Jules Peaceful Valley, Maps, and then Objects, sorry about that, and pretend it's in here, which I didn't do it. And in roadway 4, pretend that says roadway 4. I would click on it, it would put it down in here, and then click open. Like, let me click on one of these. See it put the name there, whatever i3D it is. It would say roadway 4 or whatever one you're doing. It would put the name here, click open, and then it would put your road where you needed it to be, and it would put the path in there as well. It needs that, or it won't do right. It won't be looking for the road in the correct place. So that's the reason you have to export that and bring it back into the map after you've done it, even though you can see your road there. So that's how you would do it. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed. That's just what we're doing, and these are the double lines because obviously you can't pass on all these curves, and that's why I chose double lines for there, and I've chose these for here because you can kind of pass, and then other areas I'm going to pick different things for different roads. And so, but I hope you enjoyed, and feel free to check out the rest of the channel. I do different things: Ranch Simulator, Trader Life Simulator, Gold Rush the game, some demo playing, different games, just stuff like that. paint.net, and then mostly the map making tutorials as well. So check those out, and I'm going to be doing the Farming Simulator 22 map tutorials as well. So stay tuned for all that. Appreciate all the new subscribers. If you haven't already, please subscribe, hit the like button, share the video, and turn on your notification bell if you want to receive a notification every time I post a video. I'm going to catch you on the next one when we do more road work, because we've got a lot of roads to finish. And as you can see, we got a bridge we got to go across. And we've already went across bridges over there with the roads, and you check that out in the other videos if you need help. But I appreciate it. Stay tuned for more map making, and I'm going to catch you on the next one. Goodbye, everybody.